So as a marketer, if you don't meet the consumer with how they gather information, you're just noise. In today's world, we're more and more frustrated with noise and less interested in having noise in our lives because there's so freaking much of it.
I feel that's also must be a reason why user-generated content has become so big now.
So if you have all the technology in the world and it delivers me at your door, you're still not going to choose me without some form of a referral or a connection or an emotional resonance.
How have you guys been able to market your services in order to be able to gain a bigger clientele?
We've been utilizing a variety of AI-powered technologies to help our sales team understand all the data that we've got, understand client profiles, tie that into tools like Apollo and ZoomInfo so we can find better targeting of ICPs.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Andres Figueira and I'm going to be your host for the day. This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Company, helping fast-growing teams hire exceptional remote talent from Argentina, South Africa, and beyond. We connect companies with world-class professionals who bring skill, reliability, and a global perspective to every role. And just for our listeners, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your first hire. All you need to do is visit globaltalent.co, click Start Hiring, and mention the podcast listener discount when we reach out. And today, with me here, I am speaking with Adam Bleibtreu, Chief Executive Officer at SmartBug Media, which is a full-service digital agency that's creating resilient growth in every phase to deliver predictable growth for organizations. And with that said, Adam, it's a pleasure to have you on this episode. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's a pleasure to meet you, Andres, and thanks for having me on.
Likewise. And no, the pleasure is all ours. I'm so happy that we were able to make this work. And Adam, just so that we can get the audience a bit more in context and hit the ground running, would you be able to let us know a bit more about your background, how you got to work as CEO at SmartBug Media, and then what SmartBug Media does in your own words?
Started in the entertainment business, spent 5 years working with a gentleman named Jim Henson and Stan Lee, and did a couple of TV shows, The Muppet Babies and some other things, and ultimately transitioned into marketing and built and ran an in-house agency at a footwear company in the 90s called LA Gear, where amongst other things, we pioneered lighted shoes and did a bunch of fun stuff. Helped launch the WB as a senior marketing executive because I thought it'd be fun to build a TV network. Then transitioned into what became known as digital signage, which was really the foundation of understanding marketing and the power of storytelling. And that revolved around putting TV sets next to points of purchase, because after Al Gore invented the internet, we realized we could distribute video over it. I mean, what a remarkable concept. Wound up building out the largest network of TV sets on gas pumps, and found a company called Gas Station TV, and we built that out and quite successful. And then went to work as a chief marketing officer of all things in the staffing industry. I was hired as the CMO for what was the largest creative staffing agency in North America called Creative Circle. We were purchased by a large public company called On Assignment, where I became the chief marketing officer for On Assignment. We had 14 acquisitions in 8 years and grew it to about $4.5 billion in revenue, which was an amazing run. Worked with some phenomenally talented people and left because anybody who works for a public company reaches an expiration date. It's very hard to be innovative when you have millions of shareholders around the world that want a guaranteed return. I was approached by a private equity firm that I know called American Discovery Capital. They had purchased an asset called SmartBug 6 years ago. And the CEO and founder, Ryan Malone, brilliant individual, felt it was time for him to move on and just remain the chairman of our board. And they asked me if I would come on board and run it. So March of last year, I became the president. In July of last year, I became the chief executive officer, and have had a heck of a fun time running the company really since March. Now, take a pause, and SmartBug Media is a full-service digital agency that focuses primarily on partners within the HubSpot ecosystem. So if you're a current utilizer of HubSpot, we are a great partner to help you with everything from AI agentic development all the way through media strategy and purchasing. We now exist as 3 separate companies. One is called Globalia Digital, which is focused in Montreal. and really specializes in non-HubSpot AI agentic development work and e-commerce, really revolved around the Shopify and platform and a few others. We also have a company called Point Success Media, which is specializing in traditional digital media and franchisor media for lead generation purposes. And then the lion's share of our business really revolves around HubSpot and how we are their now for the fourth time in 8 years, their partner of the year in North America.
No, but then, so then what SmartBug does is that you look for clients that really rely on HubSpot to function, and then you help them optimize and automate those processes within HubSpot in whatever they do.
Right. So it's a great question. We exist in two parallel channels. You run a $25-30 million a year business and you're looking to grow and understand CRM and now AI powered search. And you come across HubSpot and you go, this looks like an interesting platform. We may contact you before HubSpot does based on our outbound sales efforts and build a relationship with you, suggest HubSpot, help you acquire a license to it, and then do everything from a full service retainer where we could do creative, we could do strategy, we can do all of the media execution, or we can simply do a project. We can migrate your data from Salesforce or from Monday or whatever your internal CRM is and manage that piece. So that's one piece. The other piece is, as a partner in the HubSpot ecosystem, their sales professionals call us up and say, hey, we've sold a package into Andre's company, but we can't help them with data migration, integration, assimilation, training and development, and all of those things. And then we perform those project-oriented services for you. So we do both.
Okay, that is so cool. And I love how now I understand why you are HubSpot's #1 partner in the US. It's like now I get it. And my other question I have is also then, Adam, is there a certain profile for the clients that you guys take on? Is it a certain type of industry or is that disregarded? And as long as they want to use HubSpot and have a use for it or whatever they may need, you guys hop on board and help them out.
We specialize in regulated or highly regulated industries. We've done very well in senior living, in healthcare, IT, SaaS, et cetera, financial services, where we're good at migrating through and finding our way through, a series of different kinds of regulations that those industries have. That said, we're in 35 other industries at the same time. So short answer is, if you're looking to find clients that matter to your business and retain them, then we're a great partner to have.
And is this service only offered in the United States, or do you guys serve a more international or global market or set of consumers?
At the moment, we're focused in North America. We're actually looking at Argentina as a place that we could go to next. There's a tremendous economy there, a lot of people utilizing HubSpot. So we've looked there. We looked in Central America. And Europe has got a pretty decent saturation level. So I'm more interested in Latin America.
I understand then that you serve mainly the US. You're thinking about expanding to Latin America, Central America. How have you guys been able to, in the US, market your services in order to be able to gain a bigger clientele and just make sure you keep on growing as a business? Has it been through organic marketing? Have you done certain campaigns, or are you doing anything particular that you could tell us about?
Boy, it's a loaded question. Up until 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, we all did the same thing. We used what in essence was the HubSpot inbound content driven playbook. Created great content. People found us, discovered that we were subject matter experts, and we had a conversation and went to work together. With the rise of AI-powered search, we're all doing exactly the same thing. We're standing around wondering where 60% of our web traffic went and how did our customers get smarter quicker. So the reality is I built out an internal AI lab, sort of my own think tank, and we've been utilizing a variety of AI-powered technologies to help our sales team understand all the data that we've got, understand client profiles, tie that into, tools like Apollo and ZoomInfo so we can find better targeting of ICPs, and then utilizing a combination of just good old-fashioned dialing for dollars and highly focused content that's AI influenced. So meaning it's content that we've created that makes it easier for AI to find us versus the traditional SEO.
Yeah, no, that's what's trending right now. You got to be at the top of the AI's list in Google search, or when somebody asks within ChatGPT, Claude, or whichever platform they use. But AI SEO is the whole deal right now. And have you worked in terms of getting commented and creating noise within Reddit to be able to be shown by the AIs? Have you done that whole spiel?
We are knee deep. We've moved from ankles to knees. They built some great tools for me to facilitate my intro into Reddit. There's only so many hours in a day, and how I can divide my time up. But I certainly have perspectives on marketing and leadership, and the opportunity to want to engage in conversations with folks in those topics. So yes,
Of
the
course.
short answer is LinkedIn, Reddit, Wikipedia. Yeah, I mean, again, no different than SEO. We all have the same list. The question is just then how well you execute against it, how relevant your content is.
It's true. It's true. I feel things are getting even Darwinistic with the whole AI right now. Whoever doesn't adapt is not the fittest to survive in the whole market. And you got to just make sure you keep on evolving and updating. And it just gets a bit overwhelming at times, but it's like something new every day.
You just touched a huge hot button for me, and I've been in the marketing and storytelling game for more than a couple of years, and I've seen a couple of technological revolutions. When I started early on in my career, we shot on a thing called film, and we created ads on film and had 4-color separations. I put the first digital pre-press Apple-powered system into LA Gear that was existed in the United States. We were their first customer, at least on the West Coast. And then I watched, the advent of the internet and the smartphone and whatnot. So the technology is expanding at a speed that none of us have the intellectual capacity to understand. However, what everyone forgets, as you so beautifully said, everyone gets into this Darwinian, I got to be bigger, better, faster. I got to eat my competition. I got to get there first. Great. What none of them pay attention to is that the emotional consideration of a human's decision-making process honestly hasn't changed in 150 years. We want to feel safe. We want shelter. We want community. We want to be cared for. We want to trust. The emotional triggers that allow a consumer to review information and make a decision are really not any different than the radio or the advent of the TV or even before that. So losing sight of how you build emotional resonance with your consumer or your prospect is really the key to the disaster or the demise of your company, not your tech stack.
Wow, I had not seen it from that perspective, and I totally agree with you, Adam. I like that way of viewing it as well because it can feel intense and that everybody's just moving on ahead, but that then turns into what's happening now that, for example, some companies are automating their sales team with AI and others are automating their HR team with AI, and then it ends up being like AI is speaking to itself in between companies and nothing gets done because they're eliminating the humans off the factor and like it's not ready yet to be doing all that.
So we're using a lot of those tools. Some of them we've built, some of them we've developed with a low-code API partnership. So if I'm prospecting, I can find you faster with AI. I can learn more about you with AI. I can coach and train my sales team with AI. But if I don't listen to you and don't ask you about fishing, and maybe you have a family, or maybe you like to cook, then we don't have an emotional relationship. And if we
Exactly.
don't have an emotional connection, you're not going to trust me with your data to grow your business. So it's a common question I ask people when they come to work with me and they try to understand what I refer to as sort of this storytelling, emotional connective tissue. Name me something that you bought for over $25, that you chose to watch on a screen of any size, that you chose to listen to, or affected a larger purchase like a car or form of transportation that was, or went out to eat, that was not impacted by referral.
Wow,
And
that is
Yelp counts as a referral.
that's that's something you ask every single client that you're going to work with.
Yeah. So
Wow.
when was the last time you went to a restaurant just because you found it? Like, have you ever driven down the street and saw a sign for a restaurant and pulled in?
No, it's crazy because you can see the sign, but you're gonna go into Google Maps, check the reviews, see if somebody has vouched for it, whatever.
Right.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
So humans as a species, right? We came out of the caves. Turn right, you're going to get eaten. Turn left, you're going to find fruits and vegetables. So if we didn't talk to each other and we didn't provide each other with reference information, we would die as a species. So we're wired that way. It's part of the emotional context of how our brain processes information. And I won't bore you to death with all the psychological pieces, but as a marketer, if you're not trying to build emotional resonance, you're going to fail.
But I totally understand what you're mentioning, Adam, because it really is crazy. I hadn't thought about it, but nowadays you always look for a referral or a reference or a rating or a review or anything like that. And if it's not positive, then you're just not going to go there.
Right. In your contact list, right? In your contact list, because you don't have a Rolodex. I actually, at one point in my career, had a Rolodex. I actually had a two-sided Rolodex because I knew so many people. You got a tech guy. Like, should I get the new iPhone or not? Is this app any good? So you got a tech guy. And then you got 2 or 3 foodies. Like, hey, we're thinking of going out, seafood, sushi, barbecue, great Argentinian steak. You got a food group, right? You got a music group. You have subject matter experts in your social world that you go to for referral information. You don't even consciously know that you do that. So as a marketer or an advertiser, if you don't view the ecosystem the same way, if you don't meet the consumer with how they gather information, you're just noise. And candidly, in today's world, we're more and more frustrated with noise and less interested in having noise in our lives because there's so freaking much of it.
I feel that's also must be a reason why user generated content has become so big now, because it's like a friend telling you through a screen, like, oh my goodness, try this restaurant, look at it, it's so good. And then you just fall for that review or that recommendation. But now that you're mentioning it, like you're opening my eyes and lifting a veil that I had not seen. And I'm going to tell my girlfriend, we have to go out and dine somewhere that we do not investigate before, and we'll make our own reviews later.
So in my youth, I used to just enjoy driving. I mean, I still do, but I would just get in my car as a high school student or a college student. And I just drive somewhere. And I went to high school in Atlanta, Georgia, and I just drive east. And I'd see a restaurant and I'd go in and I'd check it out. And so to me, road food, right? Like local grown, local food in that era, there was no farm to table anything other than there was a pig farm across the street and they make good barbecue. Okay, that's farm to table. But yeah, I would just try it. Like, and this concept of walking into a place you know nothing about is so terrifying for people. And as a marketer, that's what you're asking them to do. You're asking them to take a leap of faith without referral into you. So if you have all the technology in the world and it delivers me at your door, Andres, you're still not going to choose me without some form of a referral or a connection or an emotional resonance.
Okay, I get that. Once a person understands that and you're able to incorporate what you're mentioning into the whole marketing funnel and just make sure you meet the consumer there, I feel that's a very sweet jackpot to hit, because it really must provide a lot of more conversions, because you're really becoming something of trust in their mind, as you're mentioning.
Exactly. Trust
Mhm.
is such a key component to the relationship.
Of course. Oh, and Adam, I'd also love to know, now that you have explained to me your insights and your perspectives on how things should be done or are done, your team with SmartBug Media, how big are you guys? Like, how much people do you have helping you out with this whole endeavor?
We're about 175 people today, plus a scalable freelance network that takes us up another 40, 50 people. I am a huge believer in a fractional labor force of subject matter experts that allow us to scale up and down to meet client needs.
Okay. And do you and the whole team or the company work within a physical setting or some headquarters, or are you a remote first company?
It's again, great question. Ryan started this firm 15 years ago with the intent to be a virtual company. he felt so strongly that there was a pool of highly talented professionals that at that point were done working in an office. And maybe they were parents that were solo parenting or joint parenting that needed a little time with their kids or taking care of their parents or just wanted to live untethered, which 15 years ago was this dramatic concept. So we have 40 people in Montreal with an office that they sometimes go to, which is fine. And the rest of us are all virtual. I happen to have an office at the private equity firm that's our partner because
Okay.
I chose that. I'm a little old school. But when you're growing a company and you're turning some corners with it, it's really advantageous for me as the CEO to have my funding partners 3 offices down the hall. I just walk in and tell them what I'm doing and what I need. So, but that's my choice. It's not required.
No, and I understand it's a thing of convenience and more so with you as the CEO and being able to exactly talk to your partners in just a second quick walk in the office. That's amazing. But it's so cool that SmartBug Media had the idea of going virtual even long way before the pandemic, because it must mean that when the pandemic hit, you guys were already kind of like set for what was happening and you were even what's it called? Not anxious or nervous about having to do a shift, but just saying, yeah, this is what we wanted to do and just pursuing it.
Exactly. And, the connective tissue was already built. The processes were already built. The systems already existed. And so the pandemic came, and as horrific as it was, it didn't impact the connectivity or the productivity of the team.
No, and that is something very important that I feel a lot of companies had to adapt to, because they did see us what's it called? They did see the way that their people worked and the amount of work that was being done a bit lowered at the beginning because it was a weird shift. Then once people got used to it and liked it, you can even work more from home if you get rid of the time you spend commuting and all that. It's like you can actually be very efficient. But I love how ahead of its time SmartBug Media was when you guys
Uh,
started.
Ryan, Ryan gets all the credit. He saw something that other people didn't, and he got it to work quite well.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And Adam, is the talent that you have within the company all located within the United States, or do you also search for talent outside, like in Latin America or in South Africa or Asia or anything like that?
Yes and yes. So the majority of our full-time employees are located in North America. We have a couple in Europe and we have a couple in Central America. We are actively seeking relationships with highly qualified HubSpot experts, specifically in Argentina and Brazil and in Latin America. We think you have a phenomenal talent pool there, and I think we have 9 positions open right now for HubSpot expertise in Latin America.
Wow. Okay, that is amazing. Well, the Global Talent Code really does enforce, and we have a lot of talent from Hotspot, so we can talk about that later if it sounds of interest. And Adam, I would also now then love to shift the conversation towards the future and what you visualize that you want to accomplish with SmartBug Media towards the end of 2026.
End of 2026, we have economic forecasts and requirements that I've put in place, to grow 10, 12, 14, 15%, depending on sort of how well we're operating. To grow our headcount and to build the support personnel. We have some internal realignment of processes. I am, no surprise, a process freak. Organizational control, project management. If you're running a business that your asset is human capital, you want to leverage the human capital. We rent our expertise for a fee.
Of course.
And I want to make sure that we're maximizing the return on that investment through proper processes and time tracking and whatnot. And at the same time, giving our teammates the greatest work experience they could have. It's still, in spite of some economic uncertainty, a competitive job market. And I want people to choose to join my team because they believe not only in the vision that we have, but that it's a cool place to work. It's fun to hang out, that, we have fun. I think the last part to your question is I want to understand, I want to be able to sit in February of 27 and look back and go, I don't understand AI search, but what we did figure out worked. Like the part of the pie that we ate tasted
Okay.
good, and that we figured that out, and that we were really helpful to our clients in transferring and deciphering that information to them. I tell our sales and our delivery teams all the time that when it comes to conversations about AI, we're going to be your tour guide. We're going to go discover it together. We had a little more experience than you. Let's go figure out how to do it together.
But with that said, Adam, really wanted to say thank you for hopping on the show with us, for giving us all your insights, explaining what SmartBug Media does and your philosophy of how things are. Really appreciate it.
Hey, it's been a great conversation. I think that what you guys are putting together is so helpful and informative. And I hope you have a great afternoon and you go out and get a limelight one day soon.
Thank you so much. And to anybody here with us who is listening to this episode, we really appreciate you as well for being able to hop on and listen to all the different personalities that we're talking to and all the different industries that we are learning about. So with that said, have a good one.